Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present this business idea to you all. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm very excited. The business idea that I'll be presenting today is Inspirations Cafe, a place where inspiration and community meets. So although I've been introduced already, I am Shamike Bethea, and I am one part of a three-part team, management team. I work with two other ladies, Trinity Bursey and Davita Dixon. Unfortunately, they were unable to be here today, but they did play a significant part of putting together the outline for the presentation that I'm going to present to you today. Hopefully, we provided enough information that you can give us the feedback that we need to continue to grow to make this idea a reality. This year's survey stated that there were over 210,000 people in the little city of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Out of that population, approximately 41.7% of them identify as Christians. That's a lot of people. But one of the things that we begin to look at as Christian people who are still wanting to go out and socialize, we realized that there was no recreational establishment for Christians dedicated for socialization. We have churches, they have events, but where do Christians go to have fun? We also realized that there were limited opportunities for Christian artists. They can play at church, they can play at functions, maybe weddings, but what do they do as an outlet for their gifting? Whether it's singing or dancing, where do they go? Well, we found out some of them actually go to places that are not necessarily environments that Christian people would not go to. Also, with believers that wanted to have a good time, they may also go out to those locations. But the majority of people said, you know what, we don't want to go to those environments because they are toxic environments. They don't have the same values as we do, and we left that lifestyle. So we saw an immediate need because this problem exists with us with 47.1% of people. So imagine this. You and a group of friends just want to go out and have a great time. I mean, you guys go to church together, you worship together, you have fun together, but it's Friday night and it's about 8, 9 o'clock. So where do you go? So maybe you decide that you want to venture out and just do something, and we'll just go to one of those old hangouts. And when you decide to go, this is the scene that you walk into, where it's alcohol, an environment that not very friendly to biblical beliefs, right? You may also be the one that's singing or come after this scene. So regardless of where you're going, your value system is not there. And you're putting yourself in this toxic environment. Or maybe you decide that I'm going to just not go anywhere and stay home. Regardless, if you go to this place, I'm sure that your pastor would not want you to be there. So what we decided to do is to come up with a solution. And our solution is Inspirations Cafe. Inspirations Cafe, we provide a place where people can socialize in a positive environment and enjoy inspiring Christian artists. Our vision is to establish a fun-filled Christian atmosphere where people can socialize, enjoy community and entertainment. Our mission is to unify the Christian community of all denominations through arts and entertainment. So what you will see when you come inside of Inspirations Cafe, this is the scene that you will walk into, where people are laughing, having a good time. We offer a simple menu just in case you get hungry, but you have the opportunity to meet people of like faith and still reverence your values. because we provide that atmosphere. We don't preach a doctrine because it's just arts and entertainment. And we realize that if you come together doing things that you will enjoy, we can unify on those things. So we did a test market. We did a test market for 12 months. Those pictures that you saw, those were actually pictures of inspirations. We did 12 Inspire Nights for a year, one per month. And that's when we realized that this was bigger than we thought it would be. Because people, when they came in and they experienced the presence of God, we did intentional interaction with each other. We realized that people enjoy being out, but they did not necessarily have the social skills to actually meet other people. So we created an environment where it was fun, it was entertaining, and people enjoyed each other. So much that even though we rented the building for those nights, we closed at 12 o'clock, but people still linger around to 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hey, we got to get out of here. We have to go to church in the morning. But it was so amazing. We had testimonies after testimonies. We also analyzed it by receiving customers' feedback, which gave us ideas on how to rework it, so we make sure that everyone was incorporated, that they felt like that they were among people of same beliefs. We established contacts of artists. We had people contacting us. We had some of you guys saw our Facebook. Well, that was the internet site that we used initially. But we also started Facebook. We had people contacting us across the state and say, hey, I would just come there and perform for free, because they wanted to be in an environment of people who enjoy the same things that they enjoy. We had community contacts, and we still stay in contact with those people, but we had an issue with the building. We had an issue because we were renting it, and it took so much manpower to try to set it up and break it down, and so we realized we had to expand. In order for us to provide the need for this community, we had to expand it to establishment that it was no longer operating one day out of the month, but it would give people an alternative throughout the month, or through the year. So, this is where we're at now. We've already finished most of our business plan. We still have a little bit of identifying equipment that we need just to make sure. I'm working actually through you guys with Ken to help us continue to identify, to make sure we're doing the checks and balance. But right now, we have an operating cost of about $175,000 that we need of startup. And that's with a potential building that we've located. But as you guys know, that's been it for a while. You don't know about the building until you get the funding. But that's what we did our estimation on. And of course, the location that we initially started with was in the downtown area, but we are open for that because they are making a lot of changes in the downtown area. So this is where we're at. And this is Inspirations Cafe, and we are truly a place where inspiration and community comes together. Any questions? Yes?
How will you make money?
Well, the money will come through the simple menu list, pretty much coffee. We looked at how much you can generate income from the coffee, and so that's where most of the money will come from, selling coffees and goods.
You said at night.
Yeah.
Not everyone drinks coffee at night.
Well, the most of the nighttime stuff is going to happen at night. The profits will come in mostly during the morning time. So we'll be open from the morning and then literally shut down the coffee spot, and open up to actually do the inspired night portion of it.
Employees, how many employees you have to run this?
Well, we looked at 4, and that's based upon us doing it at first, and we have a couple volunteers that help us. So right now, the numbers that we based it, even with the salary and everything in it, was 4 people to manage.
And so you mentioned that your revenue stream is coming basically from coffee. The coffee is one of those items that has one of the highest markups of any good that a business can sell, but Most coffee shops can't just survive on coffee alone. So is it just coffee, or will there be other things
There are other things.
to support the revenue stream?
There are other things. The coffee was just the most of it. But the building that we were looking at, we were able to put profit. I forgot what it's called, but we were able to like rent spaces. Even when we had when we had the Inspired Nights, we had vendors come in, and they were kind of pushed to the back where people, and these were all, because once again, we bring art and entertainment together. These were local people that made jewelry, that did things crafty, whether it was writing books or publishing. It was all based upon the arts, and they will rent spots. And so that was another profit area that we.
What was the location that you had when you tried that experiment?
When we tried it, we actually rented out, what is Diamonds Sporting? It's off Rayford Road. And we were able to rent it out, and what we did was change the gym area. We actually moved it out and redesigned it at night so it never looked like it was a sweaty gym area. But that's what we did. It was Diamond Sports, I think it is, but it's on Rayford Road. Yes, sir.
What is your marketing plan for this business?
Well, the marketing plan that we started out with is actually forming relationships inside of churches, going through the churches, also using avenues of social media and radio.
So what is the response been from the churches, I guess?
Well, we really our test market has been very good, and actually someone actually asked us, was trying to give us a building. It was just located in the wrong spot, like in Aberdeen. So everyone that hears about it, we've actually had people to try to get us started back. Hey, let's do this. But we knew it took a strategic plan, because once we started going forth, we wanted to sustain it. But we've had pastors to actually come out and see it. And I remember one night doing our event, it was all over, and people was happy. It was police. He was like, "Is the mic open? Can I get the mic?" Because he wanted to sing. And so the feedback has been great, because it is a family-friendly environment. It really is.
Excuse me. Did you charge any cover charge for people to enter?
Yes, we did. Initially, we did cover charges of the $10. But as we began to go back to the feedback for the market survey, we realized, and one of my business partner, her heart is evangelistic. She wanted to reach the world. And so she said, I wanted to create something that was free to let everyone in, but we understood that we needed to create a profit, and that's where the food items and finding out how can we create other income coming in. Because we knew we wanted to give people the opportunity. Even if you couldn't afford it, then you can come out, and most likely, usually when people come out, they'll get hungry. They will find the money to buy the food. And we actually realized that our last event was in December, and what we decided to do was open it up for free. And that's when we realized that we could sell, because everybody started buying snacks. And so that's how the idea formed. It was not by, like we thought of it. It just happened.
So will it be kid friendly, or is it adult oriented?
It is adult oriented. Our target market is between 25 and 34. However, we have had events specifically for children.
What size building are you looking to use?
Well, the one that we actually looked at, I think it was like 3,000 square feet, but it was top and bottom. It was like 1,000. 1,000 at the bottom and like 2-something at the top. The one that we had, which was a gym, was like almost 10,000 square foot.
Yeah.
But we only used, we kind of made a stage, and the tables that we set up, we probably used less than 1,000.
Have you thought about, or have you used Christian bands from the local churches?
We have had, yes, we have. That's where we get our artists from.
Yeah.
Because we wanted, the other thing was established community. We wanted to give them a spotlight to use their gift. Right. And so
outside the church environment.
Outside the church environment. Yes. And so people there from other churches would see these people minister, and that's how a lot of the connections, whether it was dancing or singing, they actually said, hey, I'm having this event in my church. So a lot of the relationships were formed by people coming out to the event, seeing the artists, and then asking them to participate in whatever event that they had at church.
Okay.
So let's go back to your fee structure. I understand you're going to make some money off the food and drink because, you know, it's good markup on that. But you're talking about some expenses you're going to have to incur for employees, the rent space, the utilities, and all of that. I really think you should rethink the cover charge. Maybe not at $10, maybe like $5 or something a little bit more where people don't think twice about it.
Okay.
And then what you could do is on your slow nights, you could do some free nights.
Gotcha.
But not, I think across the board when you say absolutely free, people tend to treat a space a little bit differently when they invested something in it. If I have to hang a fee to get in as opposed to free, then it's like people tend to take that for granted. I think you need, maybe not at $10, maybe come down a little bit.
Okay.
But I think you need some nights where you do, especially your busy nights, those would be where you can charge a fee. And then, like I said, if you have slow nights, say a Tuesday night or something, you could do a free night there.
Okay.
And that way you can accommodate people who may not be able to afford it otherwise because it's a slow night for you anyway.
Gotcha.
But I think you're going to have to consider, you're going to cover your costs, otherwise you're going to sink.
Okay.
And I think you've got an innovative idea in here in terms of it's different from all the other entertainment in our area, but you're going to have to be able to pay your bills.
Thank you, ma'am.
A friend of mine had a business, and the way he tried to get most people to come, he would make it free for the ladies or charge the men. And also, he would have made it free if you go before, for example, 9 o'clock.
Okay.
It will be free. But if you go after, then there will be, say, $5 charge.
Okay.
So that created a lot of crowd. Maybe you want to consider, I'm not sure if this is a good idea for your business, but you may want to consider it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That makes a lot of sense if somebody's going to a place to socialize because you want to go somewhere and there's nobody else there. You know, this is boring. I'm going to go home.
Okay.
Right. But if you've got some reason to put a crowd there, it's in advance of people that arrive later, and somebody arrives and you can see that something's going on and they're socialize because that's what they're doing. If it's just a cafe, a lot of times people want to go to a cafe. When I go to a cafe, most of the time I want to work and I want to be around people and I want to see my friends, but mostly I'm trying to accomplish some work and focus on music and having coffee. I like the atmosphere, the environment, but I'm not necessarily socializing at the moment.
Right.
So I'm not sure if you're aiming at sort of like a cafe setting where it's a little casual or if it's actually an entertainment venue that people go to as that's their destination as opposed to one of the stops along to some other destination.
It's both. It's just divided up in time. So just like we rented the sports gymnasium, it was a sports gymnasium during the day, but at night we turned into Inspired Night. The same thing what would happen to the cafe. It's open with people because it is the atmosphere is very relaxed. And then when we would have our Inspired Nights, then that would be the time that we kind of wrap it up where people that you see all of the charismatic stuff with the arts and the entertainment, because sometimes you just want to chill out. You don't want all of the noise. So it plays both parts.
What about hours? Do you keep the same hours more or less every day?
We are still working on the hours, but we're looking at towards the end of the week between Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. But we're still trying to work it to figure it out. But what we did with the Inspired Nights, it was done on Saturday, but we wanted to do it differently, that we wanted to incorporate an open mic night. So everything is not going to be Inspired Night. You have your open mic night, and you have like jazz night, and you have different events specifically catered towards the end of the week. So the cafe is open during the day for the coffee, and then at night you have more so of your entertainment, because that's the time that most 25 to 34 years old, that's the time that they're getting off work and they just want to exhale. Yes, ma'am.
Did you say you were looking at downtown?
We were, yes.
Are you still looking at downtown?
We're open to ideas.
I work at the library, so I'm not a small business person, but
okay.
Having worked at the library, parking downtown is the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
with them going to charge
Yeah.
in parking.
That was one of the.
So, yeah.
But the building that we were looking at was actually towards the back side of downtown. So it does have parking in that area.
That's great.
But we're still, because it's a lot of cafe type things
There are a
that's
lot of cafes.
opening down there. And so, and then another facet of that, kind of the way we kind of envision in our head of how we want to set up. Haven't found that yet, but we're always open to suggestions.
So I think your age group downtown, that's great. I mean, it would work. Because when I'm there at night, I'm a little older than that age group, but I see that age group down there all the time, walking around at, especially on the weekends. But
Oh wow.
I would definitely keep the parking in mind, because it's a bear.
And depending on where, if you were to go downtown, if there's available parking, then that might be an additional cost, because some areas of downtown, you would still need somebody out in the parking lot to make sure that our cars don't get broken into or stolen.
Oh wow.
So that's another consideration of where you go, is that going to be another factor.
That's
Or
good.
people parking in your spot going to the baseball game. Or,
Yeah. That's good.
Just
No, that's why I'm here. I need all this good information.
So part of the functionality for
it would be.
the cafe, you use any Wi-Fi, utility expenses can go up to the Wi-Fi and stuff like that, cables, stuff like
Okay.
that.
Okay. That's good.
Downtown location at night is not very popular with a lot of people.
Okay.
A lot of businesses, their headquarters used to be at downtown some 20, 30 years ago. They all moved inside the city.
Okay.
And it was a daisy that one of my friends owned it. It didn't make money. He had to close it down and make it an apartment building.
Okay.
Downtown is not the best location nowadays at night. It's crowded during the morning because of all those offices, but at night it's much, much quieter.
Okay.
So maybe you want to consider somewhere inside the city.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
It's
Thank
actually
you.
a complicated issue because there's sort of a side effects. If you're there, will that transform downtown into something better, as opposed to just looking at it saying, what is it going on? Now I'm here, I'm influential. Maybe I've got mechanism steering wheel in downtown system. I want it. An organization like yours, transform at least that location wherever it is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, downtown is growing, and there's amazing things happening down there. And you could, partner with Cool Springs for the 4th Fridays. I mean, there's so much you could build on using downtown resources.
That is good, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And then people that are leaving the baseball game, where can we go now? We don't want to go to, Hot Springs. They could come to you and relax and still be out and make it a day of it.
Oh wow.
Especially if they're paying $5 or $10 for parking. So we go to the baseball game, and now we're going to go over here and have coffee or tea or whatever you're going to have, and a little snack after the game. And that way they get to stay out longer, because I mean, the games end by 9, right?
Yeah,
Something like, I haven't been to a game yet, but it was too hot. It's too hot, I'm not going. But I love being downtown.
The one problem though is counting on baseball games, the season's getting ready to end. So what
Right.
you're going to do in the winter and
That's
the
true.
spring, there's not that many people out and about downtown during the evenings in those months. Summer and spring, good. The rest of the season, not good, because there's not going to be that many people walking around. I think you also need to go back and look at your group that was your test market
Uh-huh.
to see if there are certain churches they come from,
Okay.
or if they gave you their address, and see where most of them live. And that's the area you want to start looking at, is where they are.
Okay.
Because they came out, enjoyed the experience, want to come again. But if they're way on the other side of town, say Hope Mills, most of the time they're not going to drive all the way in downtown just to go to your Inspiration Cafe unless you've got some special event going on.
Okay.
You want to go where your audience is going to be.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean you want to go into a rough neighborhood. Just gotta watch that, because now you're talking about additional expenses, and trust me, if you put yourself, even though I think it's a great idea, if you put yourself in certain places in the city, I'm not going there at night.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
Not
Right.
going to happen.
Right. That's good.
What's been some of the feedback from the local pastors churches? Because they have a coalition, and they usually meet about either monthly or every other month. So what's some of the feedback that you've received?
Well, I've only had the initial feedback. We actually took this idea to my pastors. We all kind of go to the same church, and so we had their input in before we even started.
Okay.
And we had very positive feedback and actually some ideas on how to grow. As far as the customers, we only knew that one guy was a pastor because he introduced himself. But most of the people, because we don't do titles, we don't do religions, we just have a great time.
Right.
So I wouldn't know the different pastors that have come in. But from the feedback I got from my initial pastors, they approved it. But it was a good idea.
I think you have a great opportunity right there. I think you need to get out and meet those pastors because
Yeah.
Mr. Belhart is exactly right. They have a lot of pull in their churches, and they can tend to help you and say, here's a good place that you feel good about that you can go after hours. Especially these churches that have high school groups, that have for private schools, because these are going to be your future market one day. So, you might even have one night a week that you focus on, say, 16 to 25.
Okay.
Again, but designated so that if you got someone, say, my age walking in and I see a bunch of 16-year-olds, I'm going to walk right on out. And that's what I'm saying. I like the idea that you're doing theme nights because if I'm into a certain type of music or something like, if you have a poetry night, I'm not there because it's not my thing. But if you have a certain type of music, then I will probably gravitate toward that night because you're having it. And that's what I'm saying. Use your slow nights for special things like you might do a teenage night or something, just to try to pull them in because, they do get older and they're used to you. So please do go and speak to the pastors, tell them about what you're trying to create. They can lend a lot of support.
And
I don't just
sponsorship.
mean, I was going to say not just morale, but also money-wise.
Wow. Thank you.
It's an untapped market available for you. You got a pretty good idea here. Reach out and use the networking that we have because we're very rich in the community. And just don't keep it in Fayetteville, of course. Like Spring Lake and Hope Mill. But you got to get the right location.
And what was the name of it's a coalition here in Fayetteville?
Yeah, with the local pastors.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know the name of it, but I mean, they usually meet either monthly or every other month.
I probably just need to go talk to my pastor.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's part of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, Shamike, what can this community do for you?
I think you guys have already done it. Just providing us the feedback. But just if you have any other ideas or any directions, I'm going to go take all of you guys' advice to go back and meet with my team and let them review the recording and see if we can put that together and also contact some pastors and see where we can go from there. But by means, whatever, this is a wealth of knowledge here. So whatever you guys can have any ideas or anything that you want to contact me about, let me know. We're open. We're just like, this is a mission of faith for us.
Before we end, might I also suggest that work with colleges like FTCC and surrounding colleges. A lot of times we have classes that take on projects, like marketing classes that would be willing to do a marketing plan for you or something of that nature. Social media, we have social media classes that would like to, take on projects in the real world, not just talk book stuff. We like to do application projects. Like we have a marketing class that just did a marketing plan for the Swamp Dogs. We do stuff like this all the time. Make use of those resources. That's one area that, first of all, would save you some money.
Okay.
But second of all, give you some direction.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
We have work-based learning students as well. So, your next
Get interns.
Shamike.
Thank you.
So glad to meet you. Glad to have
Thank you.
you.